Hey y'all, it's Chris here with Rockin Farm, and yes, I know it has been a long time since I've put a video out. I've explained to y'all before, busy, and unfortunately YouTube is just not my priority. It is something that's important to me, but y'all, sometimes I just don't have time for the filming and the editing and the etc. So I do what I can when I can. Putting this video out here, I'm going to try to make an effort to have one video a week. I think I can do that. I think I can get one video a week out, and if I have extra content, then maybe we'll have bonus episodes. So what I figured I'd do for today is kind of give y'all an update on the pig operation here on the farm, because A, I love my pigs, and B, it's been quite some time since I've shown you the setup, and the setup has changed some. I guess we'll kind of follow the life of a piglet. I think maybe that's kind of a good way to do it. So the life of a piglet on my farm starts here in my barn. We right now have 3 areas of my barn that we will refer to as the farrowing stalls. For those of you that don't know, farrowing is the process of giving birth for a pig. So I've got my farrowing stalls here in the barn. So over here we have Panchita and her piglets that are about 5.5 weeks old. Over here we have Dot, and some of her piglets are hiding down there. Hi, Dottie. Here's a couple of Carlita's piglets, and here comes Carlita right now with a couple more of her piglets. There's your babies. I see all your babies, Carlita. So the reason I like having farrowing stalls in the barn, and it's not necessary to do this, but I've got fans in the barn, so if the weather's hot, I can kick on fans, and I can keep young piglets a little bit cooler. If the weather's, I'm gonna say chilly, because a lot of people would argue it doesn't get cold in Texas, but cold for us. If the weather's cold in Texas, then I have the ability to have heat lamps for the babies as well. In addition to that, I have the creep boards around the outside of the pens. And the creep board basically is supposed to prevent mom from laying on top of a baby. Like basically if she goes to lay down, they can squeeze themselves up against the wall. Mom will push up against the board, which keeps her a good 6 inches away from the wall, and the piglet has that little escape space. So that's why I like farrowing in the barn. Now, post farrowing, we move our pigs to the weaning pens. So I'll walk up to the weaning pens, and then on the way back from the weaning pens, we'll look at some other areas. So this area up here at the top of my property is our weaning pens. So it's just what they sound like. They're, let me see, like 48 feet by 32 feet. And they're basically just for a mom and their babies when they no longer require being in the barn, but I'm not ready to wean yet. So this pig in here is actually a feeder. Many of you probably recall my stories of the antics of one boar named Güero Canelo. And we jokingly say, and I won't use the F word here, but over the course of the summer, he mated with everything on my farm, is kind of the joke that we like to tell. I had 2 feeder pigs that I actually gave to a friend, and they were both pregnant, so she got several feeder piglets out of her 2 feeder pigs. This feeder pig got impregnated by him. Ruby, who you're gonna see in a minute, got pregnant by him. Now, we were going to breed him to Ruby anyhow, but he got her about 3 weeks before we planned on him getting her. He also got with Esme, and that was not intended. She was supposed to be with another boar. He got with Panchita, that was intended and on time. Let me see. Oh, and our little pet pig, our little pet pot-bellied pig, he got her too. We ended up getting her over to the vet, and she had a miscarriage because the piglets would have been way too big for her to carry. She has now been altered. She's been fixed. So she is free to roam the farm again without any worries of being violated by one Mr. Güero Canelo. Really interesting part on these piglets, if I can get them to come a little closer, is that this feeder pig and the boar, Güero, actually have the same father. So this is his half-sister. Now, the really interesting part is, you know, grandpa's genetics and dad's genetics really got locked in on these little piglets. And it's almost irritating that they are feeder piglets because they look absolutely stunning. But at the very minimum, they are going to make very great feeders because they are chunky, they are long, they are big muscled. So as I said, at the very minimum, these are going to make amazing feeder piglets, but it is a absolute bummer that they can't go on to be somebody's breeding boar. This pen over here, these are Ellie's piglets, and Ellie has been weaned from her piglets. So these guys are hanging out and they're just waiting to either go to a new home or to go out on pasture somewhere. And then down at the end here, you can see Miss Ruby. And Miss Ruby is in here with her piglets. So she's probably gonna wean this weekend. Oh, Miss Ruby. Oh, baby. Oh, baby girl. But we've got all her little piglets over here. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, it was a litter full of gingers and creams. Now, once a piglet leaves the weaning pens here, so like these guys here, they go out somewhere on pasture where I don't have grown-up pigs. So for example, this center pasture here on my property, we have a future breeder on our farm, Miss Anita. Say hi. And most of these are actually Anita's siblings. So we keep kind of the reject, I'm using air quotes, reject feeders for ourselves. So we had a couple of runts, and then we had one that had a scrotal hernia that we were able to get sewn up, and he has recovered perfectly from it. But I'm not going to give him to somebody else as a feeder, and I'm not going to give, you know, little tiny piglets. Like I said, these are siblings. They're all the same age, and you can see how much smaller these two are than Anita. So we keep those piglets for our food, for our freezer. And then once they get big enough, they go out on pasture somewhere else. So it just depends on what I need to do at the time. Like obviously I don't want feeder gilts or female gilts in with a boar, but I might have a pregnant sow that's not getting along with the boar anymore now that she's pregnant, or you know, something like that. So we just kind of mix up the pigs as needed. So over here we've got the troublemaker, Mr. Huero Canelo, and we brought Esme back out on pasture with him since all of her piglets have been weaned and sold. Over here in this paddock right now I have Trixie. Trixie is one of my breeders, but Trixie wasn't getting along with Ellie. And I had a feeder pig who's probably in the hut, who was, oh no, I can kind of see him out there in the trees. I had a feeder pig that was going to be in here by himself. So we brought Trixie over. Hi, Miss Trixie. Hi, baby. We brought Trixie over to spend time with him. And then it's actually going to work out that he's going to process her at the same date that Panchita will come out to a farrowing pen. So Trixie will go in the barn. Good night, Miss Trixie. This right now is an empty paddock. You can see the grass starting to come back on it, which is kind of cool. So we'll get some pigs on this, you know, before too long here. But for right now, this is an empty paddock. And then over here, we've got Miss Ellie. And Miss Ellie is the biggest, whiniest crybaby on our farm. Anytime that any of the other female pigs are mean to her, she wants to run and tuck tail. Anytime that you wean her from her babies, she will put full effort into getting back to her babies. And she complains the whole time that she's pregnant. So that's why Trixie is way over there, because her and Ellie weren't getting along, and I needed Ellie to get bred by this handsome guy. Hi, Oliver. Hi, Ollie. Hi, baby boy. Hi, bud. Yeah. So I've got Oliver and Ellie in here for right now. Plans are Ruby's gonna go with Weddle. Her piglets will go with the other piglets that need places to go. Feeder is gonna get weaned from her feeder piglets. They'll get castrated and they'll go in with the other piglets. She'll go to processor about 2 weeks after she weans. The other big pork will go to processor about 2 weeks after she weans, right, that date. Panchita will go out to the weaning stalls. Carlita will go out to the weaning stalls. Trixie will go to the barn. And then once I get all those piglets moved out, Dot will go out to the weaning stalls. So the purpose of that, like I said, is the barn allows me to provide cool air and or warmth if needed for newborn piglets. Once they get to be a couple weeks old, they're pretty good at getting out of mom's way, not needing the boards as much, cuddling in a ball, you know, with the other piglets to stay warm, or sprawling out to get cool. So really we only need the barn, and we don't need it, but I like it. I like the barn for at least the first couple weeks of the piglet's life. And then if I've got room, they go out to the weaning stalls. If I don't have room in the weaning stalls, they stay in the barn. But that gives me 6 places to put pigs. I'm going to put 3 more weaning stalls out there, so then I'll have 9 places for individual female pigs to go. Another nice part about the weaning stalls is that if they're all emptied out and I'm bringing new stock on my farm, I have a quarantine area. That's nice. So I'm really glad that we installed those weaning stalls. All my wife's idea, to be honest with you, but they've worked out great. So we've got the farrowing stalls in the barn, weaning stalls on pasture, and then the piglets go from there out to pasture, and or moms go out to boars. Once we get Panchita weaned, she'll go with Güero. Once we get Carlita weaned, she'll come in here with Oliver. Once Dot is weaned, she'll come in here with Oliver, and then she is most likely making a trip to Oregon. Ellie's getting bred now, so yeah, I mean, we just kind of keep it moving. So if you'd like more info on our setup, more details, I mean, I can do pictures, all kinds of stuff, just feel free to get a hold of me. Drop it down in the comment section. Shoot me an email, rockin8farm@gmail.com. Feel free to go check out the website, rockin8farm.com. And until I see y'all again, be happy and live healthy.